Welcome to this Distech Control live session. Very happy to be with you today. I'm Joël Désiré, Solution Product Manager at Distech Control, and I will have the opportunity to present this session on healthy and trustworthy buildings with Daniel Thérien, who is Regional Sales Manager for Quebec and the Atlantic regions of Canada. So let's move on to today's topic. More than ever, ventilation has become a critical component of non-residential buildings. A defective system can have serious consequences on the health of occupants by facilitating the transmission of viruses and bacteria. Throughout this presentation, we will discuss the technologies available on the market that can assist with the safe return of multiple people to spaces such as offices, store, educational institution, hospital, and hotels. Daniel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Joël. Very happy to be here as well. Now, at all stages of our lives, we expect the spaces we occupy to be healthy and trustworthy so that we can grow, learn, work, and consume with peace of mind. As an example, during the COVID-19 crisis, patients were afraid to go to the hospital for treatment for symptoms unrelated to the pandemic. As a result, the number of cases of patients who develop severe forms of illnesses, which are normally benign if treated promptly, increased to the point where they became visible in medical statistics of people with a history of good health, thereby putting a strain on health systems. Now, when you think about it, how much time do we spend in public places or on public transport working and collaborating with different people? How does one ensure that these interactions, inherent in all human activities, will not have a negative impact on our health and on that of our family and friends?
Thank you, Daniel. You're right. Buildings are really part of our life. The recent pandemic has made us aware of the importance of occupying healthy and properly ventilated buildings. It has also shaken us into certainties. Certain gestures and habits previously considered harmless have become a real source of questioning, such as shaking hands to say hello, touching a door handle or a light switch. A study on the new post-COVID work habits carried out in Europe in June 2020 shows that 43% of people who have to return to their workplace are concerned about the hygiene measures that will be put in place to ensure a healthy environment. The current risk will undoubtedly disappear, but a return to normality can be accelerated by providing effective and easy to implement responses to reassure the occupant of non-residential buildings that their workplace or temporary residence is safe and healthy. We will see the three types of measures that we can put in place. The proactive solution, which reduce the risk of contagion, the reactive solutions that ensure optimal risk management if for various reasons a contaminated person comes to visit a building. And last but not least, how to inform the occupant efficiently to be sure that he will be safe to enter into the building. So let's start with the different proactive measures that can be put in place. So we will see how to manage indoor quality, how to detect which space has been occupied, how to master infection control, how to provide contactless comfort management, how to ensure that social distancing can be followed, and how selecting person that can have safe access to the building. So Daniel will start with how to manage indoor air quality.
Yes, thank you, Joël. So let's take a deep dive in the first proactive measure, which is enhancing our indoor air quality. Now, the American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers, known as ASHRAE, has recently published a COVID-19 building readiness reopening guideline. One of the strategies we found there is to increase the ventilation rate. Now, ventilation, when used properly, allows dilution of virus-laden aerosols, which are then extracted from rooms. Increased ventilation rates are also recommended to control airborne diseases, provided that these systems are used appropriately without recirculating air and directing flows from clean areas to potentially contaminated areas, honestly. Another good way of increasing our air quality is to increase the rate of air renewal. However, recommendations to provide more fresh air have technical and economic limitations. Systems are generally designed to recirculate 90% of the air in the building and therefore inject 10% of fresh air, which usually corresponds to an optimum of energy consumption and the well-being of the occupants. A consequent change in these ratios can lead to very expensive system modifications and will, in any case, have the immediate consequence of increasing the energy bill. Another good solution is to increase the air quality with HEPA filtration. Now, every good ventilation system includes a HEPA filter. This standard allows a certain level of performance in terms of filtration. For example, being able to stop 99.97% of the particles with a diameter greater than or equal to 0.3 micrometers. Although the size of the coronavirus is almost 3 times smaller, around 0.12 micrometers, than the finest particles that can be stopped by this type of filter, a physical phenomenon called diffusion allows to capture virtually 100% of nanoparticles, such as the coronavirus. Now, HEPA filters should be changed regularly, and special procedures must be followed for changing HEPA filters to protect maintenance personnel. Safety first, as always. Another good strategy is to kill bacteria and inactivate viruses in HVAC systems. Another method to prevent the spread of germs and bacteria through ventilation is to use UV lamps placed directly in air handling systems. For economic reasons and knowing that the radiation will be limited inside the ducts, it might be appropriate to use germicidal UV lamps with mercury at 254 nanometers, specially designed to produce the highest amounts of UV radiation. After having been exposed to a sufficient hour and duration of exposure to UVC, bacteria and viruses no longer present a health risk. Bacteria are single-cell living organisms and are killed, and viruses are genetic material wrapped in proteins and are then inactivated. As it represents a danger to human health, causing skin cancer and a risk of cataracts, UV light at 254 nanometer use is limited. Such use is restricted to inside of HVAC ducts, where the necessary protection, equipment, and methods can be implemented. Also, since bacteria in HVAC systems is more prone to cultivate damp environments, the ideal location to install UV filtration systems is after the cooling coils, where condensation is more likely to happen, just like we see here on the screen. Back to you, Joel.
Thank you, Daniel. It's amazing to see all techniques available to manage properly indoor air quality. So now let's see what can we do with occupied spaces. With the advent of teleworking in the wake of the pandemic, offices shared by several employees could become the norm for open spaces, especially in cities where rents are expensive and space is scarce. Indeed, why rent cool and clean a space that can accommodate all employees if they are teleworking 2 days a week? This shared space represents a real challenge in terms of disinfection and cleaning in order to assure each employee that she or he is not at risk of being contaminated by a previous occupant. The room and desk presence detector, which record in real time if a space or desk is occupied and keep a record of occupancy over time, allows the facility manager to know the occupancy rate of his building dynamically and over a period, as well to plan which offices spaces have to be disinfected in priority. Daniel, if you want to move with the infection control.
Absolutely, Joel. So as we've just seen, occupancy sensors make it possible to select the spaces to be disinfected as a priority in order to offer the healthiest and most trustworthy spaces. Once these spaces are identified, there are two methods to ensure the disinfection of surfaces. First one is the use of a cleaning team with the right products and methodology who will come to disinfect the previously occupied workspace with the appropriate detergents and germicide. The second one is the reduction of pathogens on visible surfaces of collaborative spaces with the filtered 222 nanometer far UVC light, which is capable of inactivating viruses and killing bacteria in a short period of time at energy levels that do not harm the eyes and skin when designed within appropriate parameters, allowing it to be used in occupied or unoccupied spaces. Now, these devices operate autonomously and separately from the visible illumination systems and are designed to provide UV doses within ACGIH safety guidelines, allowing use in occupied spaces. Integrated in the luminaires, they provide pathogen reduction of both viruses and bacteria. Staying within ACGIH guidelines allows an occupant to stay, if he wishes, 24 hours in the same room without risk. Now, these two solutions are valid, and the choice really depends on the necessary periodicity and the surface to be cleaned. Another great idea is to implement contactless comfort management solutions in your building. Now, what could be more personal and trusted than your own mobile phone? With some of the latest generation of wall sensors and thermostats, for example, this Tech Controls Alert Unit Touch wall sensor, you no longer need to touch the equipment on the wall to personalize your comfort. Everything can be done securely from your personal phone using the mypersonify app, which allows occupants to connect to the building technologies. Now, mypersonify Workplace is another mobile application from this Tech Controls, which includes a link to mypersonify that we mentioned earlier. It offers all the services to really simplify the life of an office worker, such as comfort management, indoor positioning, wayfinding, room reservation, social networks, and company news, as well as easy access to the catalog of services offered to occupants. It allows you to limit and optimize travel within the building and avoid certain areas when moving from one place to another. And it's really up to the facility manager to choose the preferred routes to navigate in the building. It also makes it possible to reserve a meeting room from an employee's phone, thus avoiding the need to touch the screen sometimes found in front of the meeting room to reserve it at a specific time. And if you need a more personalized application, in line with your brand policy and corporate identity, it's also possible to add the comfort features offered by mypersonify into your own fully customized mobile app. Let's see what our customers think about the app.
L'application mypersonify Workplace, vraiment dans le but de relier les occupants d'un bâtiment avec toute la technologie qu'il peut y avoir dans un bâtiment.
As we try and reduce the amount of energy we've used in these buildings, you get to a point where there's only so much that you can keep pulling from each and every space. That energy savings is at its limit. So there's more to a building than just simply energy. There's comfort, there's the way it operates, there's that tech type of fashion that you get. As you bring someone in here, and for example, they're trying to go to a particular space and they want to adjust the temperature. Well, why do they have to go through and adjust it themselves? As they walk in, you use these location services, and that building can automatically make them feel comfortable, whether it is lighting, whether it's temperature. So those kind of occupancy detection things, not just related to energy, but in terms of functionality, really help out and really drive that sale beyond just your typical energy management solution.
The mypersonify Workplace is excellent product. We're putting it in about 2 million square feet in Manhattan. So that's working out really well for us. The clients love it. The ease of operation is great. And I think that's the next step in the technology as far as the DDC controls.
Le deuxième prix que nous avons gagné est la solution avec le plus d'impact sur le marché de l'année, qui est l'application mypersonify Workplace. Nous sommes très fiers et nous vous remercions beaucoup, vous, nos clients et partenaires, d'avoir voté si nombreux au Control Trends Award. Nous sommes allés à la remise des prix 2020 ce dimanche et je suis très heureux de pouvoir dire que nous avons remporté 4 des plus prestigieux prix de l'industrie.
It's always a pleasure to listen to customers' testimony. So people counting sensors are generally implemented to understand how spaces are used and to ensure that partitioning of trays is adapted to the occupant needs. In the context of a smooth return to the office, the data collected by this type of sensor, number of people by zone, can be used to ensure that the density of people per area allows for social distancing. Why not set up a restricted system based on the maximum number of people per zone with a visual signal indicating that the zone is accessible? In a workspace, this device will generally be considered less restrictive than a simple access control gate. So how can we try to provide access to building to healthy persons only? According to the World Health Organization, 80% of coronavirus infections are mild or asymptomatic, which makes it challenging to identify contaminated persons. However, many asymptomatic patients also suffer from severely low blood oxygen levels without even realizing it. Providing an oximeter at the entrance of the building and encouraging occupants to test their blood oxygen level may be a good, inexpensive way to prevent asymptomatic patients from entering a building. Another techniques deal with infrared cameras. Generally placed at the entrance of the building, allows the detection of feverish people. This concerns a very limited segment of contagious people, less than 5%, but remains a very interesting and affordable way to convey the message to your occupant that you take care about them. Daniel, can you please talk about the reactive measure?
Absolutely, Joel. My pleasure. So the first one is really to identify potentially infected persons. Now, despite all the precautions that we have just reviewed, there is no such thing as a zero risk. There's always the possibility of a situation where asymptomatic individuals may have unknowingly transmitted the virus to other occupants. In such a case, which is rare, as soon as the infected person becomes aware of it, it would be advisable to warn people who have been in contact with the infected person in the last 15 days. Now, these individuals could be asked to go get tested and to quarantine themselves in order to prevent the spread of their virus. This is not possible thanks to the infrastructure used for the indoor positioning feature implemented in mypersonify Workplace. Now, this app does not store any data concerning the positioning of an employee's phone while at work. However, it's now possible to add a software layer which would allow this data to be saved temporarily and securely. And if necessary, the HR department or whoever is responsible to maintain a safe workplace in the current framework could therefore know the list of phones associated to the individuals who have been in contact with each other and then take action upon it. Back to you, Joel.
Thank you, Daniel. As we've seen in this brief overview of proactive and reactive measures to increase the healthiness and the commercial spaces, different solutions exist to address the various issues related to the return to post-COVID commercial spaces. However, the real challenge is to convince building occupants that the premises are healthy and that it is safe to walk out the door. This effort of persuasion requires the provision of a mix of information in an easy-to-read dashboard available at the entrance of the building or directly from the building occupant's phone. This dashboard will include all the procedures that are put in place on premise, such as disinfection routine, social distancing rules, as well as a simplified view of the status of the building management system. Is ventilation working optimally? Is air disinfection by UV lamp 245 nanometer operational? mypersonify Workplace mobile application allows to add one or more URL link to specific pages, such as this healthy dashboard. Another interesting technique deals with a digital floor plan, which is used in mypersonify Workplace and which can also be used in dashboards. This floor plan can be enhanced with a new type of point of interest to make them interactive and in real time to visualize the information specific to safe movement and occupancy of the premises. For example, in order to respect social distancing, you can add virtual crosses to desks that should not be occupied. Digital floor plan are the right and efficient way to inform occupants about the location and status of the health station, level of hand sanitizer, number of available masks, and even to visually indicate surfaces that have been recently disinfected.
Thank you, Joel. It's very impressive to see all the different measures we can implement using technology that's easily available. Now, the current health crisis will end sooner or later, and it's really difficult to know if and when the next wave or pandemic will occur. This is why it's important to know that while these measures we have outlined will serve to reassure occupants of the trustworthiness of their favorite buildings, most will also provide a healthier environment, opening the door to certifications such as WELL, which classifies buildings according to the level of well-being. That also increases the attractiveness and value of your assets. Each building is unique, and each organization occupying all or part of the building space has specific needs. Whatever the constraints, a smooth return to public buildings will require adjustments, either in terms of ventilation, from a simple increase in the air refresh rate, to the application of all or part of the various measures we have just reviewed. Whatever your needs are, this Tech Controls team of experts and authorized integrators are here to assist you in your journey to making your building healthy and trustworthy. Thank you very much for joining Joel and myself on this live session. And please don't hesitate to visit our website and download our white paper on those subjects. Until then, be safe and have a wonderful summer.
Thank you, Daniel. We hope you found this session informative. Stay safe and don't forget to follow us on social media. Bye.